Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Spandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
if you've ever been stuck up late at night and wondered when to push through versus when to throw in the towel, then do we have the kind and gentle yet striving show for you. Today we'll talk about working hard, when to do it, when not to do it, and if you're stuck doing it, how to be kind and gentle to yourself in the process. That plus we'll talk about the power of massage, lake time in the thick of things, taking yourself out, who just turned 1 year old, kitties and cribs, the power of curtains, and why rescuing a doctor and an accountant turned out to be the best thing in the world, particularly if you're on a tandem. So, so welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, that is a long list. Start with the tandem bicycle one, please.
Okay, so really quickly on this. A few weeks ago, we mentioned that we left the lake, we found an accountant and a doctor waiting by the side of the road, lost, wondering what to do, and we ended up giving them a ride back to their car. And you said it's a good running joke when, what's an accountant and a doctor, blah, blah, blah. Well, we went out for our first bike ride in just about a year on the tandem this past week. Jessica said, let's do it. I'll never push her to do this. And so I set up the bike, got the tires pumped up, got the pedals put on. Away we go. 2.5 miles later, thump, thump,
Oh
thump, thump,
no, flat tire.
flat tire. And I go, oh, that's all right. We can patch it with the, oh, wait, we haven't been on the bike in a year. It doesn't actually have the patch kit and the tool.
Oh no.
How are we going to get home? We don't have, it's not like we have a car that can carry this. Is Jessica going to get picked up by her mom? We're going to have to do multiple trips to get this fixed. What are we going to do? And a Honda Pilot pulls up in front of where Jessica's off the side of the road, and she's like, do I have to move? I'm like, no, no. Yes, move quick, move fast, move away from the car. And I'm thinking to myself, these are our heroes. And sure enough, about 20 minutes later, the gentleman had doubled back to his vehicle. Can I help you guys out? I see you have a problem. Folds down the back seats of his car, asks his wife if he can give us a ride, and Alen, he's an immigrant from Ethiopia, rescued his whole family. Turned out he was an Olympic marathoner for Ethiopia. And
Wow.
he gave up on the Olympics. It was during the time of communism there. Gave up on the Olympics to come to this country with nothing. Rebuilt his life from scratch, saved his family, got married over here, had kids. And here he is, our guardian angel, bringing us home with our vehicle, instant karma paying back very quickly, and teaching us the power of gratitude, being grateful for what you have, because he's had to work so incredibly hard and is so
Mm.
incredibly grateful for what he's got. It was like a dozen miracles
Wait,
wrapped
and
up
I'm
into
just
one.
for the people who are listening and may not have heard last week, you had picked up this doctor and whatever because they were lost. They had gone hiking and they came down, they were lost. So you had done a good deed in picking them up when they were in trouble, and then boom, a
So
week
we
later. Wow. Oh, that's a beautiful story.
so that
Wow.
was good karma coming back around quickly.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay, and so wait, I don't have your list. Tell me the other thing. So you're on the
Okay.
tandem bike. And then it sounds like you've
Here,
got
hold on.
a
I'll edit this out. Hold on. Da, 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 dee, da, 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 da. I've got this Russian tune stuck in my head from Jessica. Um, there we go.
Okay, got it. All right, so you talk about okay, the other thing that intrigues me is kitties and cribs. But
So it's no secret. Once we move, we feel it's kid
yeah.
time. We haven't moved quite yet, but our little kitty has taken a liking to the nephew's crib downstairs and has decided it likes to sleep in the crib.
Oh
And
no.
Jessica, who kind of has baby fever, this is like the greatest thing in the world, having to tend to the kitty in the crib.
Wait, so she's allowing the cat to be in the crib. I would have kicked that cat out of the crib even though I know she loves the cats.
So, no, no, she is allowed and encouraged Kitty to be in, in the crib.
As long as Kitty doesn't get crawl into the crib with your baby, I think that's probably fine. As long as that habit doesn't start.
Not our crib, so we're not worried about that. But now I think this is a kitty. Both of our kitties are rescued feral kitties. This one is
Yeah.
particularly skittish. So when I guess it's our niece. When our niece comes over that's what, 2, 3, 4 months old and would potentially use the crib, Kitty is going to be nowhere to be found. I think
Oh,
Kitty likes it because with the bars around it, he feels a little bit safer to be out in the open.
oh, fascinating. Wow. Okay. What does this have to do anything with
Absolutely nothing. That was the one that we put in there. I asked Jessica before the start of the show, what's really interesting this week? And she said, well, we've been going like crazy. We've been working our tails off. You should talk about that, how you've done that, kind and gentle. But also you should mention Lumen Crib.
So I just had to pull, I just dragged you out. I
Yes.
uncovered your one unclear thing. All right, but the power of massage, I assume it's that whole idea if you have to go slow to go fast, that kind of idea.
She bought me as a gift for my birthday last month. She bought me a package of massages, and they've been coming in really handy at this time where I'm saying to myself, I don't have enough time. I won't use those words, but we just interviewed a guest on the power of sleep, and in fact, the book just wandered away from me. He has the #1 health show, the Model Health Show, Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing gentleman, fantastic backstory himself. We interviewed him on the power of sleep. This is real important, but this week we haven't been able to get enough sleep. There has been a lot to get done, and the hours have been thin. And at the same time, we've put self-care in there. Even though we can't get enough sleep, take an hour of massage, throw yourself to the lake for a little bit, get yourself out to a meal here or there, even though sleep is tremendously important. But if you know you're going to have a long day anyway, do something to take care of yourself and be as loving and kind and gentle to yourself as you possibly can be.
I think actually what I'm hearing too is it's like I've talked to people who don't sleep. Like they will not have a normal, they'll be in their bed for 8 hours and not sleeping, but they're resting, which is the whole reason why sleep is important. So even if you're not sleeping, the fact that you're resting in a massage or having moments in the lake where I bet you're probably just floating around a little bit and splashing around, like that's still not sleep, but I think it counts as rest, which is again like the whole go slow to go fast kind of thing.
It's very it's an elixir. It's super kind and gentle. It's getting your cortisol levels down. It's helping balance and ground you, and then you're kind of recharged for whatever comes in. It's in a sense it's a direct opposite reaction to stress. Is okay, if I'm getting pushed with more stress and anxiety on one side of things, I'm going to balance the equation by giving myself even more awe and bliss on the other side to kind of bring it back to balance.
Right. Yeah. Both of us have interviewed Dawson Church, and he talks
Yeah.
about epigenetics, and he talks about one of the things that we can do to change our genes is to get our stress level down because of the cortisol and all those different things that rise. We move to a reptilian fear survival based brain versus being in our resourced calm brain. So any of those things, whether it's the massage or it sounds like you had lake time. What was the lake time that you did?
Well, it was the lake time. We had the big launch of our. It was actually a free masterclass before our launch of the podcast launch accelerator, and so we had this on Wednesday, and so I had a really big talk to give on Wednesday evening. Days, if not weeks, preparing for this thing,
Yeah.
and so beforehand, instead of taking some extra time to get ready, I went to the lake. We went to the lake. She set up her hammock. I went for a glorious swim. There wasn't as much time. It was like half the time we would have liked to have spent there, but it was doing that level of self-care from which everything else grows. Because then if you're really taking care, if you're practicing what you preach, then it spills over into everything you do from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so taking that time, even when we felt we didn't quote unquote have the time, I think it paid huge dividends, and still a couple of days later is helping me stay in this calm place. We had a editor working on the show, and he was a good editor, and the edits came out well, but I was not fully letting go of the leash yet, and I was checking over each of the shows beforehand to make sure they were well. And we had some trip ups, and then we had a major flub followed by an even bigger major flub, and we lost our editor this week.
I'm
And
sorry.
it's part of that learning process of running your own business. Yeah, it definitely stung in the moment, and that added to these late nights up. But even with all of these things going on, it's to the lake. I took myself to the lake. I'm like, can't sweat it. It's life. It's what's going to happen. I have to do what I need to do to take care of myself during this time.
Yeah, and it's funny because I had this weekend I went to the Paul Selig event that I'll have to tell you about, and then I've had for a while this big presentation that I have to do, and I've been kind of dragging my feet because I actually wasn't dragging my feet. I was switching my priority to the radio show because I was working doing this corporate job. Then I like neglected the radio show, so I kind of shored that up and did a lot of work there. And then now I'm a little bit behind in this other job, and so this is kind of swinging back and forth. And I on Monday I thought if I don't do this presentation right now, it's not going to happen. And so I worked on it on Monday, and then on Tuesday I planned on doing it, and then something else came up that was unexpected, and that same kind of thing. And I have this opportunity to get together with my girlfriends yesterday on a girls' weekend, kind of 2 nights away in the mountains. And I almost didn't do it, but then because I thought, no, you're going to have to do it. And I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. Hopefully something will happen where I can get it all together and some magic will occur. But it's almost like you have to pay it forward, almost thinking if I give myself this, I'll be able to do more later on. And you really sometimes don't even know in the midst, like I don't know. I'll talk to you next week what happened as of Monday when I had to deliver the PowerPoints. But
But here's the thing, just to go along those lines for a second.
yeah,
If we don't, nature abhors a vacuum. There's a term for this, a scientific term. I always forget what it is, but it's the equation is if you have 4 hours to get something done, you're going to take the full 4 hours. If you have 8, 12, 16 hours, you're going to take however much time you're given. And at the end, you still won't think, oh, I had plenty of time to get it done. So you did the right thing by investing in yourself. It's the term I use, front loading. By investing in yourself first, you'll find a way. I'm sure come Monday, you will have found a way to get it done. And if you didn't take this trip, I'm sure you will have found a way to get it done, but without that richness of taking care of yourself.
right. I think that that's a good point. It's absolutely a good point. So I had that, and I have to tell you about this workshop. Can I tell you about this
Yeah, oh,
necklace?
absolutely. Because Paul Selig is one of we are two of his biggest fans. So, what is this crystal necklace that you're
Okay,
wearing?
so I'll tell you a little bit about Paul Selig. He's a channeler, and I was invited to go to an event that he had in Seattle, and I really have enjoyed his work. And I had my great, huge breakthrough in February with Joe Dispenza, and I got on the spiritual trolley. Here's my most favorite thing that I learned out of this whole workshop that I have to share with you. So I went on this big thing with Joe Dispenza. Like you saw me, my energy was like pow pow, like it went crazy. I had this Kundalini arising thing, and then I took 4 jobs, and I've quit 2, and I was like, what the heck is happening to me? I just feel a little bit discombobulated and a little bit crestfallen. Where it's like I got on the spiritual train and you took me on this crazy roller coaster, and I don't even know where I am at this point. I mean, I'm kind of reluctantly getting back on the spiritual train, not knowing exactly what the heck just happened. But I thought, in order for me to get back on the train, I need to go and get a touch point back into that divine energy so I remember why the heck I was on the train to begin with. So I went to Paul Selig, and they have a section where he channels stuff. Have you ever seen him channel stuff for other people? It's freaking
Yes,
phenomenal.
it's
He,
it's. Oh, go for it.
yeah, so you and for people out there, you can go to Paul Selig's website and you can you can hire him as a channel. It's super expensive, but
And we have a beautiful interview on our site on Paul Selig where he breaks protocol in the middle of an interview
uh-huh.
and starts channeling.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And it's wild because what you can tell is he's just getting the information and he's relaying it back to you. And so the words are coming across to him. And so the words are coming across to him in a way that you can't possibly do. It's just amazing. He gets these words coming to him so fast out of the blue, and he's kind of mumbling them and then repeats them. And it's clear there is no possible way these words are coming from him.
Yeah, and they're coming at such a high vibration, which is why he's hearing it so quickly, because he's vibrating at a much higher level to receive this information. So anyways, I go up there, and So I go into the first meditation and I do it, and I feel like, well, I feel like I can give love, but it's really hard for me to receive love. So I'm noticing and becoming aware of that. And then I feel like I'm striving to get something out of this workshop, which is always almost the worst formula for ever getting anything out of a workshop. And then I realize you're striving for the workshop. If this is, just let it go. So I just let it go. And then there's a question and answer. I do a channeling with him, and he says, when I channel your inner guides, what I'm finding out is that there's a part of you on this, in regards to this spiritual journey, that feels like I don't matter. Like, I don't matter. Like, I want to matter. Why don't I matter? And I don't matter. It's like a very mixed thing. And that somehow you have to do all these things in order to be loved. Like, you have to accomplish all these things in order to be loved. And I thought, wow, that is so true. In my mind,
jobs.
yeah, it's like that is completely a perfect replay of my whole life, my whole last couple months. I mean, everything. And so I walk away going, okay, if that's all I get from the workshop, like, that's amazing and that's great. And I feel so blessed at that moment, and I feel like I'm back kind of on like I have some sense of grounding, and I'm on some path. And I'm walking home. I have this intuition, first of all, to walk to this event, which is 40 minutes from my house, but I decided to walk, and I don't really know why, but as I'm walking out, there's traffic backed up all the way from the event all the way to all over Seattle, because there's a University of Washington football game. And so I'm walking past all this traffic, and instead of spending 2 hours, which I talked to some of the attendees, they spent 2 hours just sitting in a car. I just walked. Oh, I'm like, thank God for my intuition. I don't know why I walked over here, but like, boom, I'm like walking back, and it took me, instead of 2 hours, it took me 40 minutes. So then I'm walking through this beautiful ravine, and I see these two people standing, and I walk over. I'm like, what are you looking at? And then I see these two owls in the middle of the daylight sitting in this tree. And I'm just
Daylight owls.
I'm just taken back, because owls are my spirit animal. So that's just super meaningful for me, just to see them regardless. And I'm just watching them. And I'm thinking, I've never seen an owl ever in my life, aside from a zoo, I've never seen an owl live, let alone two owls, and they're just sitting there. And then I'm thinking back, and I thought, in February, Joe Dispenza had this exercise where he said, I want you to focus on something that just seems extremely impossible, but I want you to focus on trying to manifest this thing. Something like this. I'm sorry, Joe, if I'm screwing up your words, but it was something like, I want you to manifest. And so I said, I want to see an owl live. I want to see an owl live. And so I walk out of the workshop, and I made this, and I said, and I want to make, and I had this picture of manifesting all this money, right? And I'm coming back and I walk out after like doing this beautiful meditation where I'm manifesting stuff. I go down to get some coffee, come back, and I see this beautiful book with these owls on it. So I'm so excited about those owls. So I buy the book. I'm like, look, I just manifested these owls. And then I go up and I see $1 on the ground. And I thought, oh, I'm manifesting money, but I was hoping a little bit more money than this. And then when I look at the visual image of where I was trying to manifest, it was 100 pennies. So in fact, I did manifest this, but I didn't think, there was a part of me that thought, I'm not going to manifest the owl, so it's just not going to, so this notebook was going to be a good proximity of it. But instead, I walk back, and 8 months later, when I've decided to get back on my spiritual path where I last left it in the Joe Dispenza event, I see these two owls, and I think, wow. They're like, and in my mind I go, oh my God, like I realize that. And as I'm doing this, the owl who was turned away from me turns, like, he's like this, he turns and he just looks right at me. I mean, he's looking right at me to the point that the guy standing next to me looks at me because the owl is looking at me directly in the face. That's my story. And then this necklace, okay, so the next day, this woman who I was sitting next to just gave me this necklace. She's like, hey, I want to give you this necklace. And it's a necklace with, this is, what stone is it? The pink one. quartz, rose quartz, and it's for love. And she said, I think you just really need this necklace. And so this total stranger that not stranger, I mean, I spent with maybe like a 5-minute exercise, gave me this beautiful necklace. And it really made me think, you know what, you're right. You're always surrounded by love and you are always loved, even if you forget that you're loved. And this is like, the universe is coming in all of its manifestations. The owls, the necklace to say you're loved. And so this beautiful necklace is something that I got from the trip from a total stranger. And it was really beautiful. Anyways, it has nothing to do with getting things done. Aside from a spiritual getting things done, right? Where you don't have to get anything done. You're still going to be loved, even if you get nothing done.
But at the same time, you got back on the path.
I did.
I think there was Joe Dispenza, one owl. There's Paul Selig's second owl. After the second owl, they appeared to you because you got back on the path. I think that is getting something done. You don't have to strive. You don't have to force. You don't have to fight. But you said, my spiritual path is important to me. And particularly as, what the heck am I doing right now? You went to an event. You put yourself back on the path.
Right. Even though I felt like I'm too busy, I don't have enough time. And I'm like, no, just go.
Yes.
And because this has got to be more important than anything that you feel like you have to do. And it was hugely valuable. And if we have enough time at the end, I want to talk to you about one thing that he said that was about being on your spiritual path that I just hit me right here, and hopefully it will help other people too.
Please share. Might as well share now. This is again.
Okay.
If you're going to make the time for something for the time for the girls, you just upload it.
Okay. All right. So here's the idea. So I was a little bit crestfallen because I got on the path. I felt like I got lost on the path, and at the finale of the workshop, Paul Selig channels the stuff from his guides that basically say, you have to decide, or you're given the choice in life to either say yes or say no. And there's this trolley coming along as a metaphor for spirit, getting on the spiritual path. There's a trolley that comes along. And once you say yes to getting on that trolley and saying yes to whatever is arising before you, you're saying yes to spirit. And whenever you say no, it's usually out of fear. And if you say no, you feel like maybe that's the safe thing to do because I'm saying, that's not the safe. I shouldn't get on the trolley. I'm not ready to get on the trolley. Another trolley will come by. I mean, these are all the different things that we say to ourselves. So when you say no, that comes from a place of fear. And when you come from a place of fear, that's coming from a place of ego. And when you come from a place of fear and ego, it means that that's the energy that you're sending out. Guess what kind of energy you're going to get back? More fear. More, more putting you more and more in that space. And so we feel like we're being safer by saying, no, I'm not getting on the trolley because that's freaking scary. I don't know where you're going. I'm not sure what time you're going to get back. Will I make it to my next appointment? I don't know. So whenever we say no, we're saying no to spirit. And when we say yes to the opportunities, it feels unsafe because we don't know where we're going. But it's actually the safest place to be because you're supported by spirit. And he said, and what happens as you're going on this ride is there's all these stops that you can decide to get on and off or on the stop. And you can also decide how long to get on or off in the stop. But know that every stop along the way on this trolley ride is there for you to learn something. And I could get out on, stop A, which let's say for me, I took that job with a friend of mine. I got on off at stop A, and I could have stayed on stop A for a really long time until I got the learning and then never gotten back on the trolley or gotten lost while I was on stop A. Or what I did is within a month's time went back and got back on the trolley and then got to stop B, get off the trolley, went in another month or so rolling around, then got back in. But I can actually honestly say, as his channelers described it, he said, when you get off on that stop, there is something there for your learning and growth. And so even though getting off of those stops were extremely painful for me, they were really hard, they were challenging, it was hard to get back onto the trolley, I got back on. And the key thing for me to remember was I was on the trolley all along, but I forgot when I was at stop A and stop B that I'd gotten off the trolley, but I could get on at any point.
I'll clarify because I think this is hugely important. It really is it's not, I can't even gloss over the fact that wherever you are that you feel is off path is the path.
Right.
And so those times where you're feeling like I'm not making a commitment to X, Y, or Z, if you stood back and could holistically look at the whole global picture, you will see that that's actually helping you for that next decision that you're making, for that next thing that you're doing. And this again comes full circle here, which is putting that one foot in front of the other, but doing it kind and gentle. And so sort of like if you've been in a relationship, there's a mess and it fell apart and you go, I just wasted 3, 5, 7,
Of my
20
life,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that wasn't a waste. That was an investment. You couldn't see it at the time. And that's not to make light of it. Shit happens. It's really, really ugly. But it meant that that is going to serve you over the long run.
Right.
And that was part of your path.
Right. Go back on. Even though it feels like, what did I do? I lost 3 to 5 years of my life for that guy. It's like, no, that actually was part of it. It may not have had to take 3 or 5 years. Like, that was your choice, right? Or maybe it did because it was so hard for you to learn that it had to take 3 and 5 years before you got back on that path. And the path is like the path of your own discovery, right? Your own greatness, your own power, your own discovery of who you are. What's that? Do you have something to show me? Oh,
no! I just pulled out the silent keyboard so I could take a couple notes. But I wrote a newsletter earlier today that I get to send. It's late that it's going out today. It's just the way this week has worked.
Yeah.
That gets to be sent out after this. And I was talking about how I had a series of bad relationships earlier in my life. We keep repeating habits and repeating patterns until we start to get things. And when I had my first near-death accident, I called the time period the festivities. I put that in quotes because I'm laying in there in the hospital bed, almost died. I'm on the phone with my then fiance, who's out of the country. And 2 weeks later, approximately 2 weeks, without me even seeing her since I got injured, a third party emailed me to tell me it was over and I would never be speaking with her again in my life.
Oh my God.
And it took me, that was such a good second whack with a 2x4, that it took me a good 3 years before I was willing and ready to date again. 3 years of where I was very positive. I was doing all the work that I possibly could. And there was an underlying depression that was still working its way through because of this. But it was only after that 3 years of, quote, wasted time, which I didn't consider a waste, but I was just spun for 3 years.
Right.
It was just bizarro land. And after that, I met Jessica.
Yeah. Right.
And had I not gone on that path, there is no way, first off, maybe married to this girl. That would have been weird.
Right.
But had I not been, I would probably not have been in the right place at the right time for the universe to put us together. It was my path.
Right. And sometimes you can't see it. You can't see it at the moment. And what he said was so great. He said, sometimes you're going to be on the trolley and it's going downhill fast. And you're going to be like, I got to get off. We're going to crash. And he's like, still, the safest place is to be on the trolley. And he said, and then you'll be going up some, crazy high hill. And you're like, oh my gosh, how long is it going to take to get up the hill? This is taking forever. I'm going to get off this trolley because it's just taking forever to get there. I don't even know if I want to get to the top of the hill, but it's always safer to stay on the trolley. And it's about when you have those dips and when you have those highs and lows to realize that every single one of those things, as painful as they are there for your learning and growth. And it's so hard to remember that in the moment of when you're doing that. But don't you find that's true every single time you've had one of those events?
Well, it's interesting because this kind of fits in the theme here, but it might be that I'm devil's advocating, and I don't mean to be.
Yeah.
But I talk about in the beginning, I said that talking about when to work hard and when not to. Mm-hmm. And so on this trolley car, it seems like there's a time to stay, but there also may be a time that you're getting all the signs and symbols in the world. Hey, doofus, talking about myself, Michael on book tour, maybe it is time to stop before you really do get hit over the head with the type 2x4.
Right.
So on a spiritual journey, there is a time to hang in there and being tough. Just like this week, being tough. I completely agree with you. I knew this was the time to hang in there. Just because things were difficult did not mean at all to give up.
Right.
Conversely, there is a time when every door is closing in front of your face, that may be a sign and symbol from the universe as well. If those owls had appeared and turned their backs on you.
Right, yeah, just like attacked me, that would have been a symbol as well.
Oh my God! Yesterday, I completely forgot, and I bookmarked that I had to tell Jessica about this. I was finishing a run, and I don't remember now what I was thinking about, and a bird hit me on the side of the head and flapped its wings and flapped off. I've never had that in my life, and I bookmarked it. I don't know why that happened.
Wow, what kind of bird was it?
No, I didn't see it. I felt it flap, 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 hit me on the side of the face and was gone.
You're no longer getting hit by 2x4s, but birds just flying into your head. It's not even metaphorically.
you just triggered that because I meant to come home and tell Jessica, and I'm like, I know you. By the time you get done with this run, you're probably not going to remember that one. But a bird just hit you in your head.
Wow.
Right temple.
Yeah.
And the wings make a flappy sound. It was very interesting because I was like, could that have been a bat? And I'm like, no, that was a wing. Those are feather sounds.
Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. It sounds like it's trying to wake you up. It's time to take flight, my son.
Oh, I had my flight dream last night. So.
Oh, that's right. You did have a dream that you had this. What was your dream about last night?
That I had it, and it felt like a lucid dream. I felt like I was fully awake. And everybody else was of this world, but I had learned a technique by which I could fly, and I could kind of pull myself up into the air, and then I took flight.
Oh my gosh. Now, if that is not symbolic, you've got a bird hitting you, and then that night you dream about taking flight. There's some juicy introspection in your next meditation. That's
as I was joking with you beforehand, I don't know why I then needed to stop off at a discount store and buy something off of the clearance rack.
Well, I think it's about something about. So you're saying that the dream? That was in the dream too, right?
That was in the dream too. Well, I ended up appearing with my dog Sawa, who this house we're living in. She passed away in this house. Just shy. It might even be to the day, but I think it's a few weeks from now. Just shy of 5 years ago.
Wow.
And suddenly, when I was flying, I was carrying her, and I needed to get a dog leash. And so here I am flying. Like, look, there's a Petco down below.
Right.
Because whenever you're flying and you have your dog with you,
you gotta go to Petco. Well, you know what I was thinking about, even when you told me about this before we started the show, is that it's something about doing something out of fear and doing something out of love. This was a big theme out of Paul Selig's program, and I know you're doing this the program that you're doing out of love because you want people to express their voice. But then what he said, what was interesting, is also if you're doing things out of fear, like, oh, I better go get it out of the discounted rack because I'm afraid that I'm not going to have any money, that, or like whatever, you can't afford to buy the most extravagant thing for your wonderful dog, whatever it may be. But to me, there's kind of a little fear about that. And that's the thing. If there's anything to be looked at, it's the fear-oriented part. Or, the person who stayed with that man for 3 to 15 years or whatever, 3 to 5 years, there's probably some fear driving all of that kind of thing. And if you can get to understand the fear part and to get back into the love part, even if it's the day in, day out, right? I'm afraid that I won't be able to get all my work done. Okay, well, how can you get back into the love, which is, well, I have to really love myself absolutely in order to do my best work. So I'm going to go for a bike ride. I'm going to go for the swim. I think I don't know. I think it's related to that in some way. And I think that's how you know to get back on the trolley. If you're getting off the trolley because of fear, thinking it's a safe thing, then how do you figure out what it is that you're fearful of, and how do you get from a place of fear to love. Like my son is writing college applications, and I'm like, oh my God, your college application, your whole life
Oh
will be
no.
over if you don't finish these. And I was like, you are so not helping your son right now. So you're totally in a place of fear. How can you get this to be in a place of love? And I literally had to work myself through. I'm like, okay, well, why is it that you care so much? And it's like, I want you to have the greatest opportunities that are out there. And you are just a wonderful person. And these essays are so hard for you because you can't see it, but I can see it. And I want to be here to help you to see your greatness because you're too young to be able to even see how amazing you are and the potential that you have. And I want to be here with you during this journey to help you go through to the next level, wherever that level is and whatever level you want, but you have to do the work to figure out what it is that you want, right? So if I can move into that place, it just is a totally different thing.
I can't say our friend invented it, created it, but we learned from a beautiful friend of ours on Maui, and he said he always would ask us, what would love do?
Mm-hmm.
What would love do right now?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're faced, get on the trolley, stay on the trolley, get off of the trolley, what would love do? Michael, you need to stay up to get this done if you want to help the people that's your
Perfect.
audience and not let them down. What would love do right now?
Yes, I love that. I think that's a perfect way. I mean, it's not like here are 10 tips to get you more productive today, make sure not to list on social media, but like I think that they're actually the kind of tips you don't get in those kind of self-help books because they're the and this was another great thing. Self-help for the small s, like self-help is usually for the small s, not the big S, right? Your higher self. And so the self-help for the higher self is asking what would love do, right? I mean, that to me is the big S. And so that's the stuff that I think you can put all that we're talking about under the how do you love the big S, right? The higher self, and make sure that you get massage because that's investing in your deepest part of your soul. Do you know what I mean? And you need that.
Absolutely. And I joke about it all the time. If you don't, you end up with scar tissue. You can go through a hard experience and you can treat that higher self, yourself, with so much love and compassion. I know this is difficult, Michael, or I know this is difficult, CJ. It's okay. We can get through it. It's okay. It is okay. And you come through it and you're so proud of yourself. I made it through. I dusted myself off and you're great. Or you can go through it and you can go, this is awful. This is terrible. Why don't you just buckle down? Why don't you get this done?
Yeah. Why isn't
And,
it done already? Why did you waste that time in the lake?
and you come through and you have scarred yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you have set yourself up for more scarring because now you've patterned this into yourself. So you can choose which way would love go through this experience and turn the experience completely on its head.
Yeah.
Even if you're stuck doing the same experience.
Yeah. It's just a frame of mind, right? It's the intention that you come along with it because just the intention of thinking there's a possibility for me. This is an area of growth, just shifting. And it's a pretty big shift in some ways to get there, but it's a small shift once you understand. It's a small shift to just pivot. It's like, I don't have to look this way. I can look this way. You don't have to look this way. You can just do kind of a 10-degree shift. And that is enough for you to get a new perspective and seeing the beauty or the pain and beauty of something that's happening. All right. So I want to ask you about the power of curtains.
Oh, this is a fun one. So we read this book from Sean Stevenson on sleep. And we had talked about doing it for a long time, and we ended up putting in blackout curtains in the bedroom.
Nice. Yes, those are so great.
And so what we're finding right away, first off, we decluttered the room quite a bit 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe even just a bit more than that. And that tremendously added. Jessica's been getting a lot of sleep. She's been going through this healing process, and still she wakes up exhausted. And I admit I've been waking up fairly exhausted, and I've turned into one heck of a sleeper over the years. I used to be the guy who couldn't sleep at all, and I've turned into a great sleeper, but not waking up rested. And so removing electronics from the room and decluttering helped, then putting in blackout curtains and the quality of our sleep. So you can get the same number of hours and you're waking feeling more rested, or even less hours and we're feeling more rested from these blackout curtains has been huge.
Yes, I have those, and they made a huge. I completely agree, and just that little bit of extra oomph, really, really power of sleep for sure, for sure. Okay, so what else? Let's see. It's power massage, Blake.
Yeah.
Taking yourself out, which you did. Oh, just
Yep.
turned 1 year old. Is your radio show 1 year old?
Our little baby just turned one 2 days ago.
It did. Happy
So yeah,
birthday!
thank you. Inspired. So we did this the fun way. We did this the cool way. We kind of looked at a calendar at when's the best time to plant, and because we wanted to plant at the right time, and it worked out serendipitously that last year on 9/11 we got to upload our shows. And we thought this is bringing light to the world. 9/11, they got uploaded. And then they went live on the air and live on iTunes on September 14th, 2015. And
Wow.
so exactly a year ago, 2 days ago from when we were
Wow.
recording. So
Wow. How does it feel?
it feels pretty awesome. Now, I say that with a tiny bit of hesitation because while I'm not attached to it, I want to reach everybody everywhere now,
Right.
yesterday.
Yes.
Oh my God, have we done an amazing amount though over the last year? So the amount of gratitude cannot be overstated, nor when I say we've done a lot. I get to keep reminding myself this isn't our baby.
Right.
So I didn't come up with the idea of this. I was thinking of what, a running show or something when
Right.
we were talking about
Yeah.
this. This was not our idea. This was a co-creation with the universe. And if I had spoken to you last summer, because we were brainstorming on this together, and I said, in 1 year, I want to have the number 3 show on iTunes for self-help. I want to have 1.5 million listener downloads in a year, of people hearing this in a year. If I want to be, I mean, we are top 10 in so many categories. The last check was 186 countries, and that was about a month ago. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
many countries there are, but we're in
Right.
almost every country. It's dumbfounding. It's humbling. It is. I don't think there's a strong enough word besides humbling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the question is that everyone will ask is how did you get there? And the wonderful thing is you're putting together a program that explains how you got there, right? Because everyone's like, how did you get there? I want to do that. And so tell us how you got, like, what are you offering in this program that you're launching soon? When is it's launched already, right?
Well, we had a master class where we shared the future of podcasting this week, and are keeping in touch with the people who want to start this program, which is going to be starting at the beginning of October, the Podcast Launch Accelerator. And instead of a do-it-yourself program, which is
Mm-hmm.
what's out there, this is a do-it-with-you program where we
Oh,
hold your
fun.
hand and go through this and look at how you're doing with setup, listen to the sound, listen to your initial recordings, help you get set up on Libsyn, help you through each step of the way. And then to me, the most important piece for me is I think it's relationships and it's interviews. It doesn't have to be an interview show, but there's something magical when you get other minds that come together
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to really broadcast each other out to the world. And I don't think many people have. Well, let's put it this way: we can all use improvement, myself included, on our interview skills.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the program is helping people figure out how to interview, how to bring out the best in the guest, how to bring out the best in themselves, how to make themselves sound like the authority that they are, and really honing these skills. To me, the most exciting piece of this puzzle is helping people to get their voice out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to be training them on how to do that. So very excited about that.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested, it's Inspire Nation. I think it's inspirenationshow.com/launch me. And we'll have more information on it. But this is it was kind of funny how it worked out. This was unplanned too. We planted seeds on September 11th last year, and then we launched on the 14th. Everything went live on the 14th. This year, we let people know for our first master class on September 11th, and then we held our first master class on the 14th.
Wow.
Unplanned,
Wow. Yeah. So it's
worked
like this
out that way.
perfect like bracketing of life of you're now moving the baby is now moving from crawling to walking, right? Because 1 year is when they start walking. And so you're moving through this really interesting um, new transition to this new part of your kind of your business and your life. And then you're moving. Like, you have a lot of interesting things going on. All right, so if folks want to sign up for this, if they missed the October, if they can't afford it now, are there ways to listen to the podcast? What's the story with your class if they can't make it in October? Make it in October, or what's the next step if they can't?
We are going to, by springtime, we're going to be offering it. I believe it'll be once a month. I'm not sure yet whether we're going to do just one class in October. It's an 8-week class, where we'll get you live within 8 weeks. If we're going to do just that one class in October and then call it good till spring, or if the interest is there, if we'll do one October, do one November, do one December. I don't know. This is where there's a level of allowance of letting go of I'm not driving this ship. Let's just see how this is. I'm going to be in that humble place of I do this. You may do something similar. I'm praying all the time. St. Francis' prayer, St. Francis of Assisi, his prayer of, let me be an instrument of thy peace. Let me be an instrument of thy love. So I don't claim to drive the ship. If we're supposed to do it several times this fall, we'll do it. If the interest is such that we put the first class together, get everybody out the door, and then hold off till the beginning of the year. So be in touch with us. I guess it's the best.
Cool. All right, good. So people, and so I'm going to ask. I don't know if you're going to ask, but I'm going to ask for people who are listening. Actually, there's several ways that you can help out. One is to actually donate, which there's on your website for Inspire Nation. That's one way. The second way is if you know someone who actually has a blog cast. I can't tell you, having to start my own 5 years ago was so hard for all the aspects that you're talking about. How do you do an interview? How do you set up something? Is my sound even working? To actually have someone there holding your hand is hugely valuable, and there wasn't anything like that for me. And if you had existed 5 years ago, I would have definitely signed up for this program. So if you actually have friends who are interested in a podcast, or if you're interested in a podcast, make sure, forward this stuff. It's on your website. And if you go to your Facebook page, Inspire Nation, is the information on the class on your website?
It's on, I know it's on our Facebook page. It's on my personal Facebook page. On Inspire Nation Show, I'm not sure if it's on the main page, but if you go to /launch me, inspirenationshow.com/, I'm told, launch me, you'll be able to find it there as well. Or just shoot us an email and let us know you're interested in finding out more. And like Michael at inspirenationshow.com, we'll get you all the info.
Yay. Okay, I have to go, so let's wrap it up. Woo!
All right. Well, thank you so much for CJ on the show, for being on the show. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Liu
saying, have fun, be well, put that one foot in front of the other, and above all else, ask, what would love do? And shine bright.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show, and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.